Before anything else, let me line something up with you, Broncos country. This isn't inside scoop. It's not privileged information, and it's not an official announcement from anyone inside the building. This is game film reading. It's scenario. It's this team's identity being put to the test. Everything you're about to hear is built on what we've already seen on the field, what's publicly out there, and how this moment could unfold, depending on how the pieces respond under pressure. So with that clear, Broncos country, picture this. 4 teams left. The noise is getting louder. Every snap feels heavier. And Denver, yeah, this Denver is still standing. Now hold up. Before anyone jumps into the comments screaming timelines and brackets, let's frame this the right way. If this scenario plays out, if the season unfolds the way it sometimes does when football gets weird, violent, and unforgiving, the Denver Broncos find themselves alive deep in January, staring down an AFC championship moment that nobody penciled in back in August. And here's the gut punch. Bo Nix goes down. Penultimate play of overtime. An awkward twist. A fracture in the ankle. Season over. That's the part that sucks. No way around it. Because whether you were all in on Bo, or still cautiously optimistic, the truth is this. The Broncos didn't get here in spite of him, but they didn't get here because of fireworks either. They got here because this team learned how to survive. And now, everything changes. But here's the thing. If you strip this moment down to its core, this isn't really a quarterback story anymore. It's a defense story. Jarrett Stidham stepping in isn't the plan. Nobody in that building circled his name in Sharpie back in Otis and said, yeah, that's the guy who's taking us to the Super Bowl. But let's say this unfolds the way the Broncos need it to. Stidham doesn't have to be special. He doesn't have to be heroic. He doesn't need legacy throws. He needs to be boring. And sometimes, boring wins in January. Because Denver didn't build this run on offense, that part gets lost when people talk about quarterbacks and box scores. Bo Nix, and this matters, had an up and down regular season. There were moments where you saw the poise. Moments where he absolutely showed up when the game tilted. Third downs, late drives, red zone snaps where everything sped up, and he didn't blink. But the backbone of this season? That defense did the dirty work. Snap after snap, drive after drive, punching offenses in the mouth while the rest of the league was busy chasing highlight reels. That's how Denver got here. And that's what they have to lean on now. Now zoom out. If this matchup unfolds against New England, and again, picture the scenario. Don't fight the premise. The Patriots come in exposed in ways we didn't see during the regular season, especially up front. Drake May's playoff tape tells a brutal story. Pressure, collapse, mistakes stacking on mistakes. And this isn't about disrespect. It's about reality. Playoff football has a way of stripping rookies down to who they really are when protection breaks. Let's talk trenches, because that's where this game lives. The Patriots' offensive line, over the course of the season and postseason combined, has been leaky. Not needs work leaky. Historically punished leaky. 58 sacks allowed. Now flip the lens. Denver's defense, 71 sacks. That's not noise. That's violence. Combined, that's 129 sacks entering this matchup, the highest combined sack total between a defense and its opponent in postseason history. Let that sit for a second. The previous record, the '85 Bears and the Rams. And we all know how that ended. The Bears didn't need offense. They didn't need rhythm. They just erased the game. History doesn't repeat, but man, it rhymes. And pressure is the great equalizer. We've seen this movie before. Patrick Mahomes flustered when the pocket collapses. Tom Brady human when bodies are in his lap. Joe Burrow vulnerable when protection breaks down. No quarterback is immune, especially not a rookie. Drake May has already been dropped 10 times this postseason. 10. And that's against defenses that don't bring heat the way Denver does. Now, let's talk about the edges, because that's where this gets ugly. Will Campbell, talented, high ceiling, first-round pick, is learning the hardest lesson football teaches. The playoffs don't care how high you were drafted. Since returning from injury, he's looked like what he is, a rookie, seeing the speed of the game crank up another notch. 3 sacks allowed, 8 pressures surrendered. And look at who did it to him. Khalil Mack, Oh Dave, oh. Will Anderson JRB. Danielle Hunter. That's not bad luck. That's a trend. And now, he gets Denver. Nick Bonito doesn't get enough national love, but Denver knows third in the league in pressure rate. 19.1%. That's elite company. He doesn't need 10 sacks in a game. He needs one moment, one step around the edge, one forced throw, one mistake. That's how playoff games swing. And inside, Zach Allen is quietly knocking on history. 2 quarterback hits away from breaking J. Watt's single-season record, including playoffs. That's absurd. That's dominance. That's the kind of interior disruption that destroys timing before a play even breathes. So what does Denver actually need? Here's the honest answer, and Broncos country needs to hear this without sugarcoating. The defense must be who they've been all year. Relentless, disciplined, violent without being reckless. And Jarrett Stidham? He has one job. Don't give the game away. That's it. Because we've all seen how this flips when the offense disappears completely. Houston learned that the hard way. Drake May played one of the worst playoff games we've seen. But CJB. Stroud somehow played worse. And the Texans? Gone. That's the danger. This isn't about greatness, it's about balance. Denver doesn't need fireworks. They need field position, clock control, no panic, throws, no hero ball. If Stidham can manage that, if the defense does what it's done all season, then yeah, this team can win this game. Not because it's pretty, not because it's scripted, but because playoff football doesn't care about aesthetics. Shifting forward now, let's fast forward. Because even in this hypothetical run, the future still matters. And Bo Nix, the expectation inside the building is clear. Week 1 next season is still the target. The injury looks dramatic, and yeah, is. But this isn't panic mode. Surgery went as planned. Rehab is mapped out. The mindset? Locked in. Sean Payton didn't give medical details, he never does, but he made one thing clear. Optimism. There was something pre-existing. Something structural. Not an if, but a when. That matters. Because it reframes the injury. This wasn't recklessness. It was inevitability. And Payton said something that stuck. Bo handled it like a pro. That doesn't sound like coach speak. That sounds like someone who knows disappointment and chooses discipline anyway. Watching a peer same draft class reach the Super Bowl? That messes with you. But it also sharpens you. Timeline-wise, the message stays calm 3 to 4 months. Potential return around May. That means missed reps. It does not mean missed seasons. Bo stays in the building, in meetings, in rehab, in rhythm. George Patton made that clear. And quietly, that stability matters for everything else Denver wants to do. Free agents notice that. Agents notice that. Players notice that. So zoom all the way out now. This scenario, this entire arc, tells you one thing about the Denver Broncos. They're not fragile anymore. They don't collapse when the script breaks. They don't disappear when the quarterback goes down. They don't fold under pressure. They adapt. And whether this run ends in heartbreak or history, the foundation is finally real. Broncos country's waited a long time to say that. And yeah, it feels good to mean it.